Hey there folks, and welcome to this video. This is a general notice where I unveil the things for the week ahead. I'm going to try and fly through this week's one very quickly. So you can find the timestamps in the different sections I'm going to be talking about in the description section. Let's get on with it and talk about what's coming up on the channel over the course of this week. And starting off, going to have a preview for the BTCC at Donington National on, well, tomorrow's video, before hopefully a review for the WEC Imola 6 hours on Friday. And then over the course of the weekend, we should get a review out for, at the very least, Super Formula Motegi, potentially the BRC at Carlisle. If I don't get enough time to watch Imola by Friday, I'll probably move the BRC one into the Friday slot. Then an Ila Canaria review for the WRC on Sunday, before on Monday BTCC at Donington National. The next general notice you can expect on Tuesday, probably be in the middle of the day. I'm expecting I'll be able to get a review out for NASCAR at Talladega in the meantime as well. I can't think of any particular live streams I might be doing this week, though that could change, so make sure to stay tuned for that. And in terms of shorts, it's going to be largely stuff that just feeds off of the videos I'm currently doing. What I'm doing for most of the videos I upload is I'm just going to grab one or two, maybe three clips and put them together and go, okay, this one will go out at this time, this one will go out at this time. Generally, as a rule of thumb, the shorts will go out at 10 AM UK time, and then the long form videos at 5 PM UK time. That's what I'm kind of sticking to, because then it means the streams will usually be slightly later, around 7 PM if I'm doing streams. And it means that you won't get like a mishmash of notifications all happening at the same time. That could be a bit confusing. I know that I get annoyed with that sometimes from different creators. Alright, let's talk about the channel itself. Because I'm still struggling to understand how the YouTube algorithm works. It is a beast that cannot be tamed. I think I spoke in last week's general notice about the highs that we started last week off with, and the best day in 2 years, nearly 2,000 views on the Monday on the 14th, for staying roughly around the 1k mark until Friday. We got to 500, then down below 100 on Saturday. I don't understand why that was, because then we've jumped back up, and yeah, we're hovering around the 1k mark. Now, the view hours is roughly where we were on this channel 2 years ago. Most of the view time is coming from shorts, so I don't know if the long form videos aren't doing so well because, well, more generic titles as well as lack of thumbnails. So hopefully I'll be able to get to a point where I can do more thumbnails for this kind of content. I have a couple of ideas how I can improve that as well. But we are getting a few more subscribers, and it's nice to see more and more people coming in and people coming back as well. I've just seen, as I'm recording this, my latest short that came out this morning has pushed quite a lot all of a sudden. It's, like I said, it's a lore unto itself, and if you do enjoy this stuff, I do really appreciate it when you stick around. I think I get, in terms of returning viewers, gosh, 160 from shorts, 165 from videos. It says 4 from live streams, but I haven't live streamed that much in the past month, so I don't know how that's happening. I don't know if it's just live streams generally instead of live streams whilst live. And in terms of viewers, it's funny. Half of my viewers watch videos only, and then another half, well, 47 actually, is shorts only, and 3% watch both. That's out of the returning viewers. So if you're part of that 3%, hello. I'm pretty sure one of those percent of the 3% is me, because I go back and I check in on how they're doing every once in a while, just to try and signal boost myself sometimes, because I have multiple channels, and this is the one where I publish from. So what I'll usually be like is, okay, oh, it's recommending me this. I wonder how it's doing. And I'll go, okay, it's showing me a couple of likes and this. So, yeah. It's strange, though, that it is basically either one or the other. There's very little in the middle. Anyways, going to cut through the middle. We've got one major narrative to follow in terms of articles. I've got 4 links for one section of it, and then one for the other bit. So let's get on with it then, and let's talk about the state of the FIA. I can't believe that we're having to talk about the FIA so much this year. It's so strange. Like, I've not remembered an FIA presidential election with so much going on around it. Mohammed bin Sulayem this week has announced that Malcolm Wilson, M Sport boss, is going to be his new deputy president for sport. Robert Reid resigned last week, or was it 2 weeks ago now? I'll be talking more about that in a moment. But in the meantime, Wilson will be voted in, supposedly, through an extraordinary general assemblies and conference. So, an extraordinary meeting, it's like a kind of Sutton Congress meeting for the different ASNs, bringing him forward. Now, Wilson, if you know him, he's team boss of M Sport, has been around the WRC for decades, won the British Rally Championship in 1994. You can drive his livery in the A Sports WRC, that's the Michelin pilot scheme. But him and Ben Sulayem go back a while, because Ben Sulayem at one point was buying cars off of Wilson for competing in the Middle East. So they've known each other for a long time. And I find it really interesting that it's Wilson that's been picked, because it shows that Ben Sulayem's heart is still with people from the world of rallying. But it also shows, almost quite intentionally, which aspects he's going for. Because Wilson is a privateer. He has built up his outfit with links with Ford, but has also, you know, he made the Bentleys for GT World Challenge. M Sport did that. His son Matthew Wilson, former WRC driver, was the team manager over at Bentley. And M Sport have had links with other manufacturers in the past, so it's not too surprising that he's somebody who would be looked out for. But at the same time, he's somebody who does it almost on a bit more of a shoestring. Like, M Sport have had manufacturer support before, they currently don't. Their relationship with Ford ebbs and flows in that way, which has always been interesting from a rally fan's perspective. But at the same time, it's a contrast to the rival camp. David Richards, ProDrive boss, who has run so many works teams, but only really runs them when there is works funding. David Richards, head of Motorsport UK, is on the side of Robert Reid, the former deputy president for sport. So it's interesting because it means that not only are the world politics and motorsport influenced here, the British game is as important. These big players are all involved in the British landscape of it all. But generally, most people who are reporting on it are being quite neutral. You can see, I mean, the race talks about just quite neutrally what M Sport has done in terms of successes, largely focusing on rallying. Dirtfish the same, though Dirtfish's statement is a lot shorter and it just largely paraphrases the two statements. Autosport, which is the one which covers both circuit and rally disciplines quite closely, has put in some mentions of those, but has also mentioned, for example, Wilson's honours elsewhere. And Rally Journal, who I also look at, have sort of compiled all of these bits and pieces together, largely focusing again on the WRC aspect of it. Surprised that none of them have really talked about the Dakar bit or the short-lived World RX program, but maybe that's just me. Anyways, let's talk about Robert Reid quickly, because Robert Reid issued a statement over the course of the past week talking about his departure from the role a little bit more. And one of the bits that stood out for me was about World Rallycross. Reid, in his statement, says, "One of the clearest and most troubling examples of this breakdown involved the internalisation of the World Rallycross Championship." This breakdown is the relationship between him and Mohammed bin Sulayem. "I repeatedly raised concerns, both about the governance process and potential legal implications, and received no response, despite my elected responsibilities and fiduciary obligations. Eventually, I had no choice but to seek external legal advice and support. Only then did I receive a response, but unfortunately lacked the clarity and rigour that I had hoped for." There's also a little bit that he talks about with a long disclosure agreement, saying, "I fully support the need for confidentiality and have personally been deeply frustrated at a number of leaks that undermine the trust and effective governance. One journalist said to me that perhaps FIA should be more concerned with why people are leaking rather than who is doing it. I did not refuse to sign the NDA, and that's a key thing because it was often reported that he was barred from the meeting, same with David Richards, who refused to sign it. He simply requested a short extension in order to seek legal advice on a complex document governed by Swiss law, which was presented with a relatively short deadline. That request was denied. As a result, I was excluded from the World Motorsport Council meeting, in my view, both unfairly and unlawfully. The explosive bit. 10 days later, my FIA email was disabled without notice. Multiple requests for assistance and explanation went unanswered until, following a legal letter from my counsel, I was informed this had been a deliberate decision. The FIA... Let's get this straight. The FIA decided, you could probably argue as Ben Sulayem himself, decided to lock his vice president out of his own emails. It is utterly bizarre. You cannot really expect the kind of stuff in politics. Could you imagine if Donald Trump locked JD Vance out of the vice presidential accounts? Actually, let's scratch that, given everything that's going on with Vance and Hegseth at the moment. But... you wouldn't expect that in normal political landscapes. You wouldn't expect that in normal sports. It sounds a bit bizarre, doesn't it? You wouldn't expect that in most companies. You'd expect there to be a big drama. I mean, think South Korea when they tried to bring in martial law last year. It's so utterly bizarre, isn't it? I don't know, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching and joining, folks. I think I'm probably a couple of minutes overdue with the recording of this, but I've had so much fun talking about this stuff. So, until next time, bye-bye for now.